Alright, it's almost midnight and I just got home and I just want to make a quick video about the expectation for FOMC. Okay, so of course the FOMC meeting, for people who are unaware, okay, is the Federal Reserve, the open meeting, yada yada, basically talking about how the Federal Reserve is going to be coming in to do some various changes to the balance sheet, the different changes to the interest rates. So of course, if you're not new to this channel, you probably already heard me talking about this about 100 times. But if you're new to this channel, okay, welcome. Hey, go down below, hit subscribe. Be greatly appreciated. But anyway, let's talk about the expectation for the FOMC that is upcoming. Okay, so first of all, we have to talk about a very simple thing because everybody is probably going to be expecting a pause in interest rates. Similarly, myself, I'm going to just tell you straight up right now, 80% we're going to be pausing simply because all the different data sheet that we have been getting in so far basically points at a pause, and it doesn't really make sense for the Federal Reserve to kind of poke the bear. If it's doing well and it's trying to do well, you just don't touch it, it's probably going to be all right. Okay, so let's just say we get into pause. Do take into consideration that we are effectively going to be going into a cutting cycle eventually. It means that when you get into this pause, chances are it just further solidify the fact that we are completely out of a rate hike cycle. Okay, which means that Jerome Powell is not going to suddenly tell you maybe in February we're going to be raising rates again. Because if he do that, that simply means that he's not doing his job right and he's going to lose all credibility and market is going to go wow. Okay, so that means that if we're going to be getting a pause again, okay, that means you're going to be 2 pauses in a row. And effectively, that's going to kind of make this kind of like a trend line where we are starting to go towards a cutting cycle whenever the cutting cycle comes. Of course, historically, usually it's about 14 months before we see the first cut. And a lot of people are starting to say, yeah, well, the Feds are definitely going to be cutting a lot more sooner simply because the economy kind of requires it. And all the prerequisite kind of seem like it's all right to do so to begin with. So maybe we're going to be getting a cutting cycle in 2024. We're not sure just yet. But if we were to see a cutting cycle in 2024, again, I'm not going to be surprised. Okay, so of course, today I do want to talk a little bit more about the whole entire hiking cycle, cutting cycle, hiking cycle, things of that nature. People who are unaware. Okay, because the thing is that, let's be honest, all of us do already take into consideration that we know that the cut is going to be coming. Okay, so if we already know that the cutting cycle is going to be coming, why doesn't Jerome Powell just cut the damn rates immediately? Okay, simple. He don't cut the rates immediately simply because the moment he says so, everything become absolute. The moment he said that rates are going to be cut, it simply means that you should just go into the bonds market and close your eyes and you're going to be getting great yield until like 10 years, whatever it is. You're going to buy 2 years, you're going to earn. You buy 10 years, you're going to get money. You get 30 years, sure. All these things are all good. Okay, so for example, if Jerome Powell basically just cut rates now simply because he thinks that his job is done, it makes it simple. People will just buy into bonds immediately. So we do not want absolute in the market. We need to create some form of an opportunity to buy or sell. That's how the free market works. That's how it has always been working, and that's how it will be working as well. So next up is also to ensure that people do not immediately start spending and creating this huge inflationary pressure on the market that the Federal Reserve took about 2 years to fix. Okay, personally, I don't think the Federal Reserve really did fix anything. The inflation curve is still relatively steep. But of course, if you're going to be taking year over year kind of inflation data, then it kind of looks like they managed to tame it a little bit, but again, it doesn't really seem like much because prices have risen significantly in the past year, and now basically we're just taking whatever significant prices that we had from last year and comparing it to this year. So effectively, you're not really comparing it properly, but nevertheless, inflation wise, the prices increase compared to last year went down a little bit. It's not as steep as before. So technically, the Federal Reserve did their job. But of course, the moment the Federal Reserve starts to say that we are going to be going to a cutting cycle, the moment they say that let's start cutting rates. Now that's going to be a little bit dangerous, because when that actually happens, it simply means that people are going to start buying assets, they're going to start buying new cars, they're going to start spending money. And when people start spending money at that level, inflation is bound to come back. And of course, again, we do know that the Federal Reserve have a dual mandate, which is to have minimum unemployment, maximum employment, and at the same time to keep inflation at a borderline 2% year over year. So of course, in order for them to actually do so, the second mandate, they have actually not been doing that great of a job. So because of that, we kind of have to see how the Federal Reserve is going to be faring for the next year or two. And for them to actually perform, for the inflation to actually stay at about a 2% borderline year over year, they have to ensure inflation do not suddenly rear its ugly head again. In order for them to do so, simple. Don't roll out the market for no reason. Okay, which is why they need to wait for a period of time, sees that, okay, relatively market is doing better and better, market is a little bit tighter, people are starting to really feel this high interest rates, let's start cutting then. So clearly, I think after this whole entire cycle, we are going to start seeing a little bit more of a frequent hiking and cutting cycle, simply because we are kind of like in a reset of such in market conditions. So I think that's kind of what I'm expecting for this FOMC personally. But yeah, anyway, basically this is probably going to be my last expectation video on FOMCs. For starting next year, I'm probably not going to be doing any more of this FOMC videos. So, of course, unless if there is something huge that happened, for example, like what happened in 2020 when the coronavirus hit and basically dropping interest rate all the way down to 0%, that sort of thing, maybe I would cover those. But other than that, mostly I would not be covering any of this FOMC expectation videos. And summary videos, I'm not sure. I'll see how that actually goes. I do want to change up my YouTube plans for 2024, so I'll see how that actually goes. But anyway, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bye.